Here's my ranking for the best shoes or the worst shoes for the 2025 year. For me, the standout was Joker 1 GT. It's almost flawless, except the availability and the price point. Tatum 4 was a shocker. It's so low to the ground, yet it's soft, fluffy. And the 4-foot zoom, it's like unlock zoom, almost the outsole, the zoom your feet, and you can feel the cushioning working in tandem. The Krishlon foam it feels like original Lunarlon in the back in the days, but a little bit more resilient. But if you're those kind of players who like to play low to the ground with some responsiveness, low to the ground but not hard. The Kyries are low to the ground and hard. But if you remember the shoes like Zoom Flight 5, Zoom Brave, although this is not a full-length Zoom setup, it feels as soft and plush and responsive as those masterpieces. Traction is great. The upper is a bit of a problem because there's a crazy toe box dead space. The upper material is a little bit suede and gets dirty quickly. Uh, you gotta really find your right fit. It's a little narrow and a little bit high off uh, in terms of the dead space in the toe box area. Witness 9 was a shocker. I would say this is better than LeBron 23 in some sense. It's got no zoom, just like the LeBron 23, but it actually is low to the ground, and the React X foam really, really works nicely. But again, it is pretty much like Lunarlon. It molds your foot, it gets bottoms out faster than most foams, but you'll feel that plushness molding to your foot and reacting, working with your foot nicely in tandem. Shock absorption wise, heel impact protection, I think Witness 9 is a little better than Tatum 4, but the Tatum 4 overall for the plush, right, and the 4-foot zoom, it's Curry Series 7. Shockingly, Under Armour made the top tier cut. The price point is ridiculous. The durability issue will always be there. At least they tried to change things a little bit. The flow foam was used primarily for the outsole, and it's a little bit harder than the old flow foam, so it's more durable, relatively durable, but not the most durable ones out there. Compared to conventional rubber outsole, it's it's just an eraser. And the midsole cushioning, they really try to do something different. I think this is by far the best cushioned Under Armour shoes, almost period, especially when since the beginning of the Curry era. So those are the top picks. Manageably good, things you can't really go wrong, can't complain. SG Flare outdoor shoe, durable but not that crazy heavy. The 4-foot zoom you can feel, heel foam cushioning. Overall, it's a nice setup. The outrigger is great too. Luca 7.7. I think this is better than the Luca 4s. It's kind of like the Jumpman 2020s budget shoe that really outperforms itself. Price point is a lot cheaper too. Traction is just as good, if not better, than Luca 4. Um, just slightly harder than the SD Flare, but softer than the Luca 4s. A1, Asia Wilson's signature shoe. This is just Kushlon, but it feels like a bastard child that's improved upon Book One. All foam, but overall the foam is pretty forgiving, and the heel definitely you can feel the impact protection there. And the 4-foot Kushlon, I think among the shoes with nothing but Kushlon, this is the most well cushioned Kushlon only basketball shoe out there. Um, Piece of shit in my opinion. Puma Holly 1. It's a clog, and it's priced way too ridiculously high. Luca 4. Some people seem to like it, but cannot I cannot find any ounce of forgiveness for this shoe for being worse than its budget model. It's hard as rock, the fit is weird, and the iso plate really digs into your toenails. I would say this next lineup operation was a success, but the patient is dead. Jordan 40, nice try. The idea is there, valiant effort, but it's so heavy. It did not have to have all those layers on top. It did not have to have an outsole that overlaps or wraps the 4-foot. Um, it's just so rigid and heavy. And the Zoom Strobel and the Zoom X, I don't think they complement each other well. They kind of play separately. I think 39s, although it feels like a more upside down setup compared to the Jordan 40, it actually was more lower to the ground and more responsive than the Jordan 40. I mean, that shoe also had its issues, but it was way more lighter. Design-wise, I think it was better. Jordan 40 way overpriced, and the design is pretty hideous. Um, so yeah, they put a lot of stuff and came up with, um, just 17 different kinds of cheese, and you don't really taste much. Sabrina 3, definitely better than the Sabrina 2s, but it feels like it's a return to Sabrina 1 in terms of the cushioning, traction. Um, okay, the cushioning I think definitely more improved than Sabrina 2, comparable to Sabrina 1, but Sabrina 1 is still top tier compared to the other two models. Sabrina 3 traction, not as good as the Sabrina 1s, I feel. So it's got a little bit of a, uh, back to the drawing board with some nice little, you know, O's and crosses made properly, but not quite there. Ja 3, personally the most disappointing shoe. Design wise, I think this is the most beautiful shoe this year. Um, but it could have been lighter. They could have slimmed down the design a little bit. All those extra little, whole cupping thing around the midsole and everything, they could have reduced the weight quite considerably. The Zoom X, don't really feel it. It just feels like A1 or any Cushlan shoe. It's far inferior to shoes like uh, the Tatum Force or the even the Witness 9s. It's an inferior shoe to that in terms of cushioning. The first cushioning you feel, it's not the Zoom X. The insole is super thick. And the shoe is really high off the ground, yet the cushioning is kind of a dud. I don't know what kind of recycled Zoom X they have. Heel, a little bit of compression. The forefoot, the longer you play in it, you're gonna feel those blisters on your forefoot, man. So yeah, that's a little weird. So it's not a huge improvement. They tried and failed. Freak 7, low to the ground, foam cushioning in the heel, but nothing on the forefoot. Great for blisters. So I feel like the designers weren't even trying. It's something you've seen before in budget models. Reebok Engineer, valiant effort. The nitro infused foam is good, but they need to work on the balance because on the heel you can feel it mashing, plushing, compressing. On the forefoot, it's a bit too hard, but at the same time, it feels like it's straight. It's a straight line. So when the heel is compressing and the forefoot is elevated, that's an Achilles heel injury waiting to happen. Traction is good. Design, I think, it's wonderful, on the right track, but yeah, the basics is the cushioning is not really there. Zion 4, it's like GT Cut 2, but softer, plusher, but it still has the issue of the forefoot being way too thicker than the heel, and the traction is a bit, depending on the rubber type you have, it's a bit touch sensitive, and the fit is super weird. I mean, it's so narrow around the toe box area, but then there's a lot of dead space at the top. So, I mean, I could try a size and a half up, and I will still feel that cringing, squeezing sensation. So the fit is super weird. Cushioning balance is a little bit off, but it was a nice try. They could have done better. Same, no improvement, just copy and paste. For me, Anta KT10, yes, it's better than the 9s in some ways, but the cushioning, I don't see any upgrades. The Anta cushioning, you really feel your knees. You feel it in your knees if you play for prolonged hours in these Anta shoes, the KT10s and especially. So it doesn't feel like an improvement. It feels kind of like a boost, but once you start running around in it, you feel that after effects. And the traction is super weird. It's kind of radial pattern, so squeaky, but you can feel yourself sliding a little bit. So it's the weird combination of crazy loud traction and disappointing traction. Adidas AE2, same as the AE1 except lighter. That's great. Design wise, uglier, less innovative. Cushioning wise, I feel like it's gotten maybe a bit worse than the AE1s, not the lowest, but the normal ones. Dame 10, kind of the same as Dame 9, except this one even has even more restrictive forefoot caging. I don't know why they did that. So yeah, and the forefoot cushioning, I feel like the heel is there. The heel cushioning is great, but the forefoot I think is even less so than the Dame 9 for some reason. Slightly more lower and harder. Same can be said for Dawn Issue 7. I think it's the heel cushioning, I think it's wonderful. Forefoot, not really much between the floor and yourself. So a little disappointing. Harden 9, I think it's exactly the same as Harden 8, except for the design. Design-wise, I would say two shoes win the top design awards. Harden 9 and Jaw 3. But also like the two of the most beautiful shoes that's out there, it's underwhelming, more or less the same as Harden 8. KD18, same outsole, same midsole, just the upper changed. So still my go-to shoes, even though these shoes are like over a season and a half old, GT Jump 2 for the propulsion. It's not for jumping, it's for the propulsion. If you run around a lot, it's like, if you look at the tech specs and the design, as in its functional design, it's like those marathon shoes that cost an arm and a leg. It really it propels you forward. Not exactly great when you're moving backward or side to side, but when you're all about running forward, yeah, without losing a lot of energy, that's a good shoe for a full courts. But again, side to side, a little dangerous. It's surprisingly lighter and than you think, and it's shockingly breathable. Ja 1 still a go-to shoe. You just can't go wrong with that. Ja 2 is pretty much a similar kind of shoe, but it's inferior to Ja 1 in many ways. Design, fit, the cushioning even. So, and the zoom here, it's a stick of gum zoom here, but the Ja 1 feels a lot more prominent down there. So these two are the masterpieces and go-to shoes that survives the test of time and would still come out on top a year and a half later.